Hello friends and welcome. Today we're going to do a guide on how to play Pugna support. Mostly position 5, that's where I think he shines, but you can play position 4 Pugna. It's just a little greedier, but you kind of do the same thing anyway, so both work. He's been really good for a while. He actually even got nerfed, still really good. He's got like a 70% win rate at the Stockholm Major. I think he probably will get nerfed after this. I don't really know, who knows when our patches come out, but he's really popular. I kind of expect a nerf. So now's the time to play him. Let's talk about it. So here is a very good generic skill build, especially if you're trying to play like high level Dota or playing with friends. But I know pub games are different, so I'll actually show you a different skill build after this. So to start, we have Nether Blast. You're going to take it like level 1, level 3. This is just a generically good nuking ability that you actually don't want to use too much in the laning stage. So let's clarify that. You have really long attack range and really fast move speed on Pugna. Most of the time, it's totally fine to just stand and run around and poke people, and it's very irritating. There's not much you can do because you run to Pugna, he runs away. You try to run away, he just pokes you again. So you just whittle people down that way, and that's good enough as long as they keep their distance. When they get close to you because they're tired of you poking them, they start using spells. That's when you throw Nether Blast. As they try to commit on you, you tell them like, hey, get away from me. Nether Blast is going to go off, so they back up. Then you get to poke them again. Or they commit to it, and then you're going to spam Nether Blast a bunch defensively as you run away, and that's going to hurt them a bunch. And then as they finally give up, you go back to poking them. You don't want to just intentionally use it all the time because you're going to burn through your mana. It is not too expensive, and you have high int gain on Pugna, but if you use it too much, you're going to run out of mana, and Pugna really works well off of combo spells. He wants to use a lot of spells all at once, so you actually want to typically conserve your mana until you're forced to use it because they commit on you, or because you've whittled them down enough that you want to go on them. So we are going to take it level 1 and 3, but just don't use it for range creeps, use it if you're full mana, but don't throw it out too much. Try to do a lot more right-click damage in the early laning stages. Level 2, you can take Decrepify or Nether Ward. Kind of depends on the game. If you have a good carry matchup, or offlaner if you're playing position 4, who does a bunch of spell damage, then Decrepify level 2 can be great for aggressive plays. If you're a position 5, some examples would be like Bloodseeker, helps him to land the little blood right, or Juggernaut, right? You just Decrepify an enemy, he spins on top of them. Great combo. So Decrepify can be perfectly fine at level 2. Nether Ward, also fine at level 2. It really dissuades the enemy, especially if you are the weaker lane. Anytime they look like they're about to play aggressive, go ahead and drop another ward, and it's going to dissuade them from doing anything because you are reducing their spell damage, and they're going to take damage from the abilities they cast. So whether they've already committed or are about to, Nether Ward, as soon as you can, level 2, and maybe they'll still keep going for it, but it'll just be worse for them because Nether Ward is down. Or maybe it'll just completely dissuade them and they'll back off. That's why Nether Ward level 2 tends to be pretty good and a pretty safe option as well, while you keep whittling them down till you're level 3 and you take Nether Blast. And then if you're trying to go for kills though, you probably need Decrepify. I don't know. So something like this in your first 4 levels will be typically good. You might see something like level 1 Nether Ward, just to explain that real quick. I don't recommend you do that too often. But if the enemy is mostly spell damage in the laning stage, and they need to commit a lot to use their combo of spells, Nether Ward, they don't want to use any of their spells. And then because you're such a good right clicker, you win most lanes where you're allowed to just constantly harass. So you just keep placing Nether Ward in a relatively safe spot in the lane and just poke the enemy down, and they can't use any spells because Nether Ward is down and they're just not going to be happy with it. But that doesn't happen too often, so this, I think, is a very safe build. Now from here, you do want to max Nether Ward. This is kind of why, actually he's got a lot going for him, but this is one of the reasons Pugna is really good right now, is because it reduces enemy spell damage. So for example, you typically max your nukes early in Dota because that's when it's most effective. You get the most magic damage up front when enemies are low health, and you hit your high spell damage, and it doesn't really scale after that. You're just going to reduce that. Once you have this Nether Ward maxed out, they're just going to do less spell damage. And now that early game fighting is very common, then, you guys just have to use more right clicks. And right clicks aren't that good at the beginning of the game, typically. So this is kind of why Pugna is good. Nether Ward makes it very difficult to take these early game fights because they take damage every time they cast spells, and their spells are worse. You want to max it as early as possible typically, because that's when the spells are most useful, like I just said, right? Spells are good early game, and therefore Nether Ward is good early game. If you max Nether Ward last, you're just kind of missing the effectiveness of Nether Ward. So either first or second, you're going to max this ability. Life Drain, you're going to take every chance you get. You are probably familiar with Pugna using it on the enemy to life drain, heal himself while damaging the enemy. You can do that, but if you're support Pugna, you're actually going to use it on allies to heal. You're kind of a heal bot nowadays. And the good thing about this is, well, straight up, it's a heal. That's fine. If they are full health, though, you will then restore their mana. This is what allows Pugna to play at a very fast tempo with his team, because you don't have to worry about teammates getting too low, no mana. Boom, I will just keep life draining you and keep you topped up. Let's keep playing Dota. So if you're ever confused what to do, for example, double stack a camp. Hey, mid laner, go farm that. They farm the mid camp. Oh, I have no mana. I can't do anything. No problem. Life drain. You've just given them the mana and the ability to farm a bunch. Now they're topped up. Hey, let's go for a kill now. And now you go fight with Nether Ward and they're topped up. They're farmed. This is why Dota gets fast if you have a good Pugna player on your team. Some extra details about life drain, because it's a bit of a complicated ability. You can deny yourself. You will die, so you must stop life drain if you get low health. Like, unless you think it's worth dying for, then go for it. But you typically want to stop at the very end and try to run away and not die. Life drain heals based on the amount of damage you take. So if you increase your magic resistance, you will actually heal at a slower rate. If you decrease your magic resistance, for example, using Decrepify on yourself, you will heal at a faster rate. If you don't take damage, for example, Aeon Disc procs, you cannot heal. Life Drain is funny that way. Holy Locket does not work because it doesn't affect how much damage you do to yourself. So don't get a Holy Lock. It's not worth it on Pugna. So Life Drain's a bit funny. I wanted to throw those out there. But yeah, this is kind of why these two abilities are really what Pugna is about nowadays. Decrepify, I kind of brushed over that. This is a high skill ability, really, because it's kind of complicated. You will decrease magic resistance on whoever you use it on, so your allies or the enemies, but the target is also immune to physical damage. It's essentially an ethereal, right? A little bit better than a typical ethereal. Well, depending on, what you want from ethereal. So you could end up saving enemies if you're not careful with this, use it on them and your team can't right click them. Or you can kill allies by using it on them too soon and they take a bunch of spell damage. It's tough. I don't really have the perfect advice to tell you guys, because it's kind of something you have to experience with a lot of play yourself to understand like when it's a good time to use this or not. So just be careful. Know it's a complicated ability, but I promise as you play a bit and you see, like, watch some Pugna games, see when they use it, you will get a feel for it. Talents are pretty straightforward. You are support Pugna, so having more health makes it harder to kill you and allows you to heal more, right? If you can take 200 more damage yourself, that means you can heal 200 health more to your allies. So the health talent, really good. Level 15, you're playing more around Nether Ward than Nether Blast. Same reason for 25, you take the Nether Ward talent. It's just easier for support Pugna to drop Nether Ward, and now the enemy has to focus it longer because it's healthier. So they go out of position to try to kill Nether Ward, or they ignore it and they're taking more damage from it. So these are good talents. And then for 20, you actually have kind of a choice. If it's a really good Decrepify game, go ahead and grab that. But most of the time, the life drain is safer, and I would typically recommend you default to this. This is a very good generic build for high tempo Dota when there's a lot of this early game fighting. That happens at higher ranks and if you're playing with like friends. If people are just sitting in their lanes, they're jungling, like not much is going on, then these points in Nether Ward are going to be a bit wasted. So keeping in mind that a lot of us play pubs and that happens, you can actually max Nether Blast, I think, and get away with it, and then max Nether Ward after that. This will allow you to farm a little faster, to push towers a little faster, maybe defend your own towers. This is greedier. This is the more like original support Pugna, like a fast tempo Pugna rather than a heal bot Pugna, who's still fast paced, but just like different playstyle. This will work. And even at high level games, you will sometimes see this. You will still max Nether Ward as soon as you can, because at level 11, at that point as a support, your cores have some items and hopefully some team fighting starts going on. And that's like, you really want Nether Ward leveled up for those. If you max Nether Ward last, it's just going to feel bad. So in your pub games, if you want to try a build like this, feel free. But if you think there's a lot of early game fighting, be flexible with your build. You want Nether Ward maxed out when you think fighting is going to happen. So just try to have it leveled up by that point. For your items, it's pretty straightforward, to be honest. Starting items, you'll notice a lot of Iron Branches and Fairy Fires. Pugna just right-clicks a ton, right? So anything that gives you cheap damage will be great to make all your right-clicks just that much more annoying. Later, you'll see, like, I have Wand in here, very generically good item. So if you want to start with a Wand, that's fine too. If you're, position 5, maybe you need some salves, maybe you need a mango or two. Those are all fine. But I guess I'm just saying, like, don't be afraid to just buy a bunch of Iron Branches. Like 4 Iron Branches, for example, perfectly fine. Eat the last 2 when you're, like, running low on tangos and you don't want to buy more. And then build 2 into the magic wand. Or, heck, just save them all, build a wand, keep these until you run out of slots, sell them. It's fine. The stats help you trade better. The extra mana you get from them will let you use another Nether Blast, things like that. So, perfectly fine build just to get a bunch of Iron Branches and get, like, a salve and whatever regen you need. Later on, Tranquil Boots is the most common for position 5 because you're damaging yourself to heal allies. You then need to heal yourself. You could life drain, like neutral creeps, things like that. That works, but it is very mana intensive. So you can kind of save mana in a way by healing yourself for, free with these Tranquil Boots once you buy them. If you're position 4, or if you want to play a greedy position 5, especially if you're doing a max Nether Blast build, then you can do Arcane Boots first, then later disassemble them for Aether Lens, and then go back to the Tranquils, also fine. But this is kind of the default start. Now, for core items, it depends. Let's actually talk about drums first. It is only good in certain games, right? Like, if your team's mostly spellcasters, you don't really need drums. But the idea of Pugna is good early game fighting, high tempo gameplay. Drums are the perfect item for that. You have like a Chaos Knight on your team, you have a bunch of like summons, Beastmaster, then drums are great. Sometimes you're still trying to play fast tempo, but like, you just don't have that. So then you don't build drums. But if it's a good drums game, totally fine to build them first. If you're not sure what to buy, Glimmer Cape is a great default item, which is actually a little funny because I told you earlier, you will now heal less. Because you have higher magic resistance, you take less damage from life drain, and so you heal at a lower rate. That is true, counter synergy. However, you have Decrepify to hurt your magic resistance. You like to Decrepify yourself because it means the enemy can't just right-click kill you, but they might just kill you with spells. So Glimmer Cape actually covers Decrepify if you choose to use them together, where you will then be immune to physical damage and right clicks, and you will just have like decent magic resistance, so you just can't get nuked down. And because you're alive, surviving, you will then get to continue to use Life Drain. And you might even use it aggressively. As they like target you, you Decrepify yourself, Glimmer, Life Drain the enemy, you're healing yourself with all these resistances. It becomes very tough to kill you. It does make healing a bit worse, but if you're dead, you don't get to heal. So Glimmer Cape, great to keep yourself alive, to work with Decrepify, to stay alive, and even though you're healing at a slower rate, you are alive to do any kind of healing, or the fight ends and then you top them up after that. The important thing is staying alive, and that's why Glimmer Cape is still good on Pugna. Plus, don't forget, you can still use it on allies, right? There's nothing saying Pugna can't. So now you will Glimmer Cape an ally, maybe you Decrepify them as well, and then you heal them. You will still heal at a normal rate because, you're not getting the bonus magic resistance from Glimmer. Well, actually a little less because you have the passive resistance. But anyways, you're healing them while they're super resistant, and it becomes very hard to kill them. So Glimmer Cape's a very good position 5 Pugna item, and you'll even see it on position 4 Pugna. Aether Lens, also fine. You are pretty mana intensive. Your spells are actually kind of short range. So getting the extra cast range, very useful. And especially if you're playing position 4 or going Nether Blast first, Aether Lens is a great starting item into like Glimmer Cape, something like that. So any of these 3 items, depending on the game, what you think you need, are all very good. After that, you need a Force Staff, that's fine. You need like something for your Tranquils and Drums, Bongo Boots. Shard is okay. Don't feel like you need to rush it. If the enemy doesn't have a lot of stuns or silences, it can be pretty good because you heal your allies, you get low, they try to kill you. you use your life drain on your ward. That's what the shard is. And you just drain all enemies nearby. It's a bunch of healing for Pugna. It becomes very tough to kill you. But typically support Pugna should rely on good positioning to stay alive rather than the shard and put himself in danger and try to heal a bunch. You know, this is better for like core Pugna is BKB. You can't stop him, and so he does a ton of damage. Support Pugna, more about healing like certain allies, staying at a safe range, and so you don't need the shard, but like maybe late game it's fine. Other late game items, Octarine Core, just for the lower cooldown of your abilities, which are all really good, or Aghanims to make your heal stronger, and then like typical support stuff, Lotus, your team needs that, sure. What else? Blink, that's fine. You don't really need Ghost Scepter because you have Decrepify. That's why these are really the core items. Like, you can flex to build whatever your team needs, your support, but like this will typically be like what your team needs is this stuff right here. All right, let's talk through some Pugna gameplay. So here in this lane, Insania's playing Pugna. Doesn't have as many stats. I think Nature's Prophet is a pretty independent laner, so I think Pugna's plan was to like roam more, and so he was mostly like focusing more on regen to like stay healthy in this lane and go be useful later, rather than like right click, like depending on right click winning the lane. But you can still see he like does the same stuff, so he's keeping his distance, just poking a lot. Always, hugging the sides, hugging behind the creeps, using one Nether Blast because he's like full mana, because he can. You see, like, look how miserable this Tidehunter is, right? This you don't typically need to do, okay? For most of us, aggroing the next creep wave is actually a mistake. Here, it's a high-level play to counter Mira dragging the creep wave. So don't usually do this. This is unique to the game, high-level Dota, rather than, like, Pugna gameplay. But you'll see here, he's just like constantly right-clicking still. This Pugna, or sorry, this Rubik being very irritating. And you can chase enemies. Like once you start taking the lead as Pugna, you can keep on the pressure because you're so fast. Sometimes you're slow. You can only get so much of a trade before you have to give up. But you can see they're applying so much pressure, they even get a kill. And here topping them up with the salve is kind of what we're talking about. Here, pulls going on. Many supports are scared, right? There's two enemies here. Pugna, you still gotta respect them, but you can still be annoying. You see how he's keeping a good distance, and then he's just gonna be annoying, just constantly throwing out these right clicks and still be in range for XP and to maybe even steal some last hits with Nether Blast. Something else to focus, I want to point out about Nether Ward. Be a little careful. It does give gold to the enemy when they kill it, so it goes 20, 40, 60, 80 gold. You can deny it yourself. You can also decrepify it so they can't attack it. So here, you see he was trying to be sneaky. Collapse actually outplayed him. He faked his attack, and so Insania hits his own ward once, and then Collapse gets the gold. You can see it there, 20 gold. So always look to deny your own Nether ward if you get a shot. Many people will just sit there and attack it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes it easy to time your deny. The higher up you go, you may get like fake outs like this. But for a lot of us, you don't got to worry about it. Just throw out that deny in the last attack. This Storm Spirit here, full health, perfectly fine to start doing things. Kind of low on mana though. Here, this is the Pugna dream. This is what you're built for. You just life drain your allies. He's full health, so now just heals up the mana. You will have Tranquil Boots, so you're done life draining. And look, because you have so much extra HP regen, you'll be fine. Go stack or something. You'll heal up, and then you're good to go. Or if you wanted to, you could go ahead and life drain one of these creeps, start healing up. But it is 125 mana to use life drain. That's what I was talking about, right? So he could heal up himself full mana, but he might use up some of his own mana and then not be able to do anything. And then here, a fight goes on. Storm. Uh-oh, still no bottle charges, low mana, low health. Nah, you're fine, right? So he's gonna go ahead and life drain this Storm Spirit, get close to dying, but now Storm Spirit is good to go to play. Didn't quite get as much mana as he'd like, and in fact, Insania used his stick charges to then help him out with the mana. So now look, Storm never had to go home, right? If he had TP'd home to refill all his resources, 30-ish seconds, lost. Now he gets to farm. Now he gets to be part of fights. This is kind of what you're going to do to your pubs as well. You're going to go help your mid heroes, let them farm up. It's going to tilt the enemy, right? They try to do all this harass. Nah, he's full health. He's fine. It's probably a little slower pace than the pros are going to play, but it'll still be really useful. Nether Blast does not need a target as well, so you can use it for something like this to get some sneaky double stacks in. Again, like I said, very good to do because if you max Nether Blast, great for your own farm, but ideally you give it to a core, you heal them up, you give them the mana to do so, or while they're doing the stacks, you get the lane and you farm up. Especially if you're not 6 yet, that is very good to do. Pugna, very easy to double stack with just auto attacks. But you can use abilities like we just saw there. And then while they farm, you do want level 6 because this whole idea of fast tempo doesn't come online until you get 6. So make sure you spend time to get your level 6 at a pretty decent time. When gank do happen, Pugna life draining the enemy here, you don't really need to heal any of your allies, and then the benefit of this is going to heal himself and even heal up a bit of mana there. You see he got back about 100 mana, so that actually covered his life drain completely. He healed himself to full and got his mana back. And then after that, as the team wants to continue to play aggressive, look at his positioning, staying way back. He already used Nether Ward, otherwise I think it would be, a little further up. But he himself still wants to position very far back because as the enemy, let's say they do defend this tower, they jump Matumba Man. If Pugna's next to the Matumba Man, they're both going to die. By being back here, they will focus Matumba Man, and then he's going to run in, decrepify, and then start healing Matumba Man, for example. Or maybe it's not the time to decrepify him. He'll just start life draining. It doesn't really matter. The point is, you are at a very safe spot to heal your teammates, and the enemy, if they want to jump in, now they have to go way back here for the Pugna. It means you're running through 4 heroes. That's not going to go great for them. Maybe they have to blink past here. They kill you. Okay, that kind of sucks, but they've now committed their blink, their abilities, and now your team might get the return kill or something on them. So this very far back positioning, not coincidence, it's very good to do. And here's even an example, right? Okay, let me top up the Storm just in case a fight does break out, or now as we split up, Storm is ready to zip all the way out of here because he's full on mana, or because he has enough mana, he doesn't mind using a couple abilities to farm that camp. Another example of team fights, so you know what to do. In this case, he was expecting the target to be this TA over here. Turns out there's actually an ogre pretty close. But first thing he did was drop the Nether Ward. Right now, the enemy hasn't cast too many spells yet. But as the team reacts to come save this TA, you would expect them to jump in and use their abilities. So you want the Nether Ward down as fast as possible. Now you're going to keep your distance a bit. In this case, he just wants to try to kill the ogre as safely as he can. And he gets to do that because Life Drain is a very low cooldown. So it's already up again here, coming up. Now, keeping his distance, looking around, who do I heal? Everyone looks pretty healthy. So in that regard, you don't need to heal anyone. But keep in mind the mana. So actually look, Storm Spirit needs some mana. And if you actually just heal Storm as well, because Storm is being focused right now, typically very good as well. And so here he comes in, starts healing Storm. So Storm's not going to die from any of this, and he's going to start getting his mana back in a second, or he would have if Insanie was not about to die right there. So Insanie actually had to stop the life drain. But that's what the Tranquil Boots will be good for here. He was actually going to life drain. So here's an example, right? So you can life drain the creeps to heal up. You'll notice he moved his Tranquil Boots into the backpack because these creeps were about to attack him and cancel the Tranquil Boots anyways. This is a nice little play you can do. At this point, he has a level 2 life drain, so it is going to out-heal these creeps. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, as they hurt him, then the life drain heal has to go into this. So the Tranquil Boots are really about the early game when you don't have, as powerful of a life drain, and the creeps are more likely to kind of really slow down your healing. Once you hit like level 2 life drain, you're more likely to be able to do stuff like this. Like just top up off a neutral creep, you're good to go. Here, just in case you didn't see it, he decrepified himself to heal the Storm faster. You can cast Decrepify after your life draining, by the way. That's another change that made him better. So here, just topping up Storm. Hey, Storm, you don't have to go home. You can just keep farming, getting stronger, faster tempo. I will go back and heal up if I need to, right? I'm the support. Who cares what I do? I want the cores to keep... Okay, we do care what the support does. But, like, the core should stay on the map and farming as long as possible. If someone has to go home and waste 30 seconds, it should be me. Now, in this fight, Liquid was kind of diving a little too hard, so part of it's on them. But that happens in your pubs too, so maybe that's even a better example here of Pugna support of what he can do in these fights. So decrepifies himself right before the stun comes out, so now they can't even really focus him. Chaos Knight is a very much right-click focused hero, right? So for at least 3.5 seconds, he has to just ignore Pugna. Otherwise, he's sitting here wasting his time. Other heroes, maybe they can kill him, but actually you'll notice this game, there's not a ton of like heavy spell damage. I mean, there is, but you know, it's not so easy to just like burst the Pugna is what I'm saying. So Decrepify ends up being a very good save ability this game. And so because they ignore him, he gets to place down his ward, gets to throw out another blast, and then gotta save your teammate, right? So now he starts healing his Spectre. You do want to place the Nether Ward down though as much as possible. And if you have a second to throw out the Nether Blast, you know, why not? It's low cooldown, so if you Nether Blast and then start life draining, by the time you stop life draining, you get another Nether Blast. So it's just kind of efficient, but it really does depend on what's going on. And you'll see because he's healing so much, it's hard to kill Spectre, so then they switch. They're going to start killing Pugna. If Pugna dies here, it's totally fine. You just saved your Spectre. You're very happy with that. They had to change their focus because of what was happening here. And they don't want the 5 Pugna. They want the carry Spectre. Now, because this Nether Ward's down, but there's so much going on, they're ignoring this Pugna. And so Nether Ward is getting a ton of value here. Lots of AoE Nether Blast going on as well. Figures he has a chance to, you know, heal himself up and not die here. So he uses Decrepify aggressively on the Nature's Prophet, the carry NP, who will now not be able to do his right clicks, right? He'd like to, but he doesn't have his BKB yet, so he just has to sit here and try to run away from the Decrepify. Look at all the damage that the 5 Pugna did. I know there's a Doom also running at him, but a lot of that was the Pugna. And the Pugna now full health and even got some mana back during that life drain as well. And because he was able to get such a good heal off, he's able to still keep participating. You can use this aggressively. You kind of keep track of where the enemy is when you life drain, so it makes it easier for your team to keep running at him. And so overall, this fight is fantastic. Part of it because Liquid was diving, but also a big part of it is what Pugna is just good at. Is if you don't focus Pugna, Pugna will do so much in a team fight. And if you do want to focus Pugna, it's annoying because he's got the Decrepify and he might be life draining to heal himself, or he might still be saving an ally. Who knows? It's kind of why Pugna is so good right now. That is it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully that helped you understand a bit more about how to play support Pugna. He really is good right now, so if you ever wanted to try him out, he's a fun one. Give it a shot before he gets nerfed. I don't know. Maybe he'll still be a support after that, but no guarantees. So give it a shot now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.